Today on the podcast, we are bringing you a very special New Year's episode, our first episode of 2026. I'm Quinn.
And I'm Drew.
And this is the year we got better.
Welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, Quinn and I are on a 52-week journey to improve our holistic wellness, and we're taking you along with us.
We are. And if you've been listening along, you might have kind of noticed that we have been rolling through the 8 dimensions and kind of zeroing in on each one. But
that's right.
Yeah, but today we want to do something a little bit different, which is it is right after New Year's when we are filming this, and we wanted to kind of do a spotlight on New Year's resolutions and the kind of New Year's vibes in general.
I feel like it's the time of year where people want to make changes, but I would really like to reflect today on why we want to make changes in the first place. What about this time of year inspires us, to make that change?
I completely agree. So we're going to share like our own personal, thoughts on New Year's resolutions, our personal baselines. But first, I looked up some facts about New Year's resolutions, some stats rather, and I wanted to share them with you guys because I thought they were really interesting. So first of all, 30 to 40% of Americans make New Year's resolutions, which is honestly less than I thought.
That is a bit surprising.
Mm-hmm. But out of those 30 or 40% of us, just 9%, not 9 people, just 9% of people who make New Year's resolutions actually stick with them.
I am not surprised by this at all.
No, I'm not surprised by it either. And what's more, 80% of the people who 80% of people who make New Year's resolutions abandon them before the end of January.
That is a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, that's quick.
That it's so much by January. I'm not surprised by not making to the end of the year.
Yeah.
But for within the first month, for 80% of the people who made resolutions to not succeed.
Right, to abandon them already. Not even just not to succeed, but to say, and self-report, I guess, on this survey, right, that I read, right, like that they have abandoned that resolution. They are no longer committed to it.
I think we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'm curious to know, like, for those people who end up abandoning their resolutions, I have been one in the past.
Oh my gosh, I'm one almost every year.
With that in mind, like, was the resolution that important in the first place for you to abandon it within 30 days?
I think that's an extremely valid question. And I also have to wonder, like, are we setting goals in a smart, thoughtful, and intentional way?
Yes.
Like,
well, I don't want to go too much on the tangent here.
No, of course.
But
I'm really interested in this topic.
But we talk about like smart goals.
This is so my shtick, you guys. When I taught 5th grade, I literally did a whole lesson for my class on SMART goals. SMART is an acronym.
Specific,
measurable, achievable,
actionable, achievable. I think achievable.
Okay. It's been a little while since I taught that lesson.
R.
Realistic.
And then T is time bound.
Yes.
I think those are incredibly important. And actually, we did make resolutions for this year. We really should go back and make them smart.
We absolutely should, because they're not smart at all. SMART, smart. Which again is specific, measurable, accurate.
Achievable.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound.
Yes.
Mic drop.
We hope. We'll go back and confirm that is what the acronym stands for.
It might not be.
But why don't we, maybe to kick things off, why don't we talk a little bit about why people make resolutions in the first place around New Year's?
So are you asking kind of like why now?
Yeah, let's talk about why now. Like, what is it about this time of year that you think sets people up to want to make this type of change?
I mean, I think that there is something kind of beautiful about that fresh new calendar. Like, you're kind of starting a new chapter, you're turning the page into the new year. It feels fresh. It's like a season of rebirth, renewal. It's your like yearly baptism.
It sounds very like grandiose in a way. Like, why do you think people are so craving this idea of reinvention?
I mean, I think that I am a huge believer that there is always room to grow and change, like for all of us throughout our lives, any age. And I think that the popularity, or maybe it's not popularity since only 30 or 40% of people do this, but I think the popularity and like cultural prevalence of New Year's resolutions speaks to the fact that people want change and growth, right? Like you want to better yourself. And I think that this New Year's resolutions and the start of a new year is almost the impetus or the catalyst that sometimes people are waiting for.
Yeah, well, the thing that I find interesting about this topic in general is that so many people make resolutions, I think signals that people are craving a change from the way that their lives are currently playing out.
I totally agree.
However, I think the failure rate goes to show that either the goal was not set up, like the person who made the resolution didn't set up the goal in a way that was going to allow them to be successful.
Right.
Or they weren't necessarily going to put in the work to make the goal achievable.
Right. I think that's kind of two sides of the same coin, right? It's like, on the one hand, maybe you're like being so ambitious with your goal that it's just not realistic.
Right.
And on the other hand, you set a reasonable goal, but it wasn't important enough to you to put in the effort to get there. Right.
Yeah.
So was it a bad goal or was it not the right goal?
I think was it not the right goal is probably, one of the things in like a business context, like the company that I work with uses a system where we set what are called like rocks. And you're familiar with this concept, I know. But oftentimes we will go through our quarterly reviews, and during this process, we'll reflect and say like, oh, well, the rock changed halfway through the quarter because our priorities shifted. And then we realized that initial goal that we set wasn't quite as important as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And actually, we realized this other thing was much more important. And of course, our facilitator is always like, you guys, like, set it and do it and achieve it. But I have a hard time sticking to that mindset of like, if you make it once, it has to be ingrained because circumstances change and you kind of evolve with what's being thrown at you.
I think that is such a good point. I say this all the time, but I think that in a lot of ways, goals or like life is a moving target, like what you want always can change. And I think that sometimes it's like locking yourself into a goal makes that feel like, or makes you maybe realize that wasn't that important, right? Like you make a goal and then you're like, well, I don't really I'm not that dedicated to doing this. Maybe that is kind of like the realization that you need also to be like, I guess that wasn't the right goal, but then I think you have to do this follow-up step, right? Which is to ask yourself, well, what is the right goal for me?
Well, yeah, and I think we have a tendency to like go toward extremes, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But one of the things I want to maybe like pose to you, right? Like you were sick between Christmas and New Year's with a cold.
As always, by the way, I get sick every freaking year around this time, and I'm over it.
So imagine, if you can, like we've talked about our running goals. Imagine if you had made a resolution that you were going to run 4 days a week for 52 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a very ambitious resolution. And just by being sick, is it a smarter and better for you outcome to rest or to run 4 days a week while you're sick? Which then which of those is more important? Is the resolution more important or is your health more important?
I think that this is something we've talked about kind of on this podcast before also in terms of doing this podcast and doing this project, right? Which is, where does my wellness related goal kind of butt heads with my actual wellness? I think that's like a very valid question, an important thing to think about. And I think ultimately it's like your wellness, your actual in the moment wellness must always come first. At least that's my perspective.
So with this in mind, Gwen,
yes.
do you make New Year's resolutions?
I do make New Year's resolutions, and we actually make some together as a couple. We're going to share some with you guys.
We are.
But I do make New Year's resolutions. I often fail at my New Year's resolutions. In the last few years, I think I've been a little more thoughtful about them and made sure that I choose things that are more, actually important to me. But I'm not anti New Year's resolution. I think that if you want to make a change, you don't need to wait till January 1st. I think that we've kind of evidenced that in our own project. I remember we were starting this project, Drew, and it was like the middle of October, and we were like, well, should we just wait till 2026? But it's kind of like, no, of course not. Because you might lose that initial kind of steam by January 1st.
Yeah.
If you are ready to make a change, just do it. Who cares what the date on the calendar says?
Absolutely.
Right? So yes, I make New Year's resolutions, but I also make random goals and take on projects throughout the year. And I think that why not embrace that season of change and that kind of that drive to make a change and that feeling of renewal? Like, why not embrace that in the beginning of January? But I do think that there can also be a confidence hit from not achieving your goals. So I really do try to be careful these days to set goals that are achievable for me. And I'm not saying like aim low so you can surprise yourself. I'm just saying
But
like,
sorry to interrupt, but
no, go ahead.
you need to make sure you can get a win.
Yes, exactly. I think you want to get the wins and you also want to celebrate the little wins, right? Like, for instance, I thought your example was good because this is the kind of goal I've often set. Like, I'm going to run 4 times a week, every week in 2026. And that goal, like, what if you run 3 times a week? Like, that's still really good. Like, that's still awesome, but you didn't run 4 times a week. So boo, like you lost.
We talk about this all the time with our running, where if you only run 2 out of the 2.5 miles that we had planned to run in one day, does that negate the workout? Does that mean that we can't cross off that workout from our tracker?
I am such a culprit of being like, it doesn't count if you don't do it all the way right. But progress over perfection.
Yep.
Every time.
Absolutely.
What about you? Do you set New Year's resolutions? I know the answer.
I do set New Year's resolutions. I like to embrace, and I think this is similar to what you're alluding to, I like to embrace this idea of yes and. Yes, I make New Year's resolutions, and I set periodic goals for myself throughout the year. I think that's a super healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the setting a New Year's resolution. I do think that like storing up all of the things that you would like to do and waiting for a specific calendar day is probably not the most productive way to go about making change in your life.
No, I agree. And it also kind of gets to be this thing where you're like, suddenly I'm going to change 40 different things about my life.
Right. It's transformation versus progress.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have incremental steps along the way to get to a goal. Sometimes making too radical of a shift in your life can be unmanageable. And I think that often is why people fail so quickly, is because they try to do too much too fast.
I agree with that. I think that there is one other kind of thought I have about New Year's resolutions. And I think that historically for me, I have made some like toxic New Year's resolutions. So while I do think that New Year's resolutions can be a great opportunity to make a change, I also think that there is like weird societal pressure around them sometimes. And what I mean when I say that, I kind of think about, well, and this is also a statistic that I just read today. The majority of New Year's resolutions are related to health and wellness, and many of them are about dieting and weight loss.
Not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. But I think that I said this to Drew the other day. This isn't one of my official goals, but I this year, right, instead of being like, I want to lose weight or I'm going to be on this diet, I want to move my body in a way that brings me joy and eat food that makes me feel good. I think that throughout the course of my life, though, I've made tons of resolutions that are like, lose 10 pounds this year, right? And stuff that is just, I don't need that energy in my life anymore.
Yeah.
Or ever, but I definitely don't need it now.
Right.
So I do think that while there is some beauty to a New Year's resolution and a clean slate and a fresh year, I think that we should take back New Year's resolutions away from diet culture, away from weight loss culture. And I think that if you can reclaim them to be something that is really meaningful for you, I think there's a lot of power in that.
I love that. I want to ask you a question, which is there a distinction between a resolution and a goal for the new year?
That's a great question. I think, actually, Drew, I think you might be the better person to answer this because I know you've thought a lot about this idea of, a fixed point goal versus an everyday change kind of resolution. And I want you to maybe elaborate more on that.
Well, I think it has to do with setting yourself up for having those little wins along the way. I think if you resolve to do something on a consistent basis and the measure for success is checking the box every day or every week, if you miss a week, it introduces this doubt or questioning of, did I actually achieve the resolution or not? And if you do miss that week or that check, then is the whole effort just kind of pointless? Is it making you more likely to abandon it? And I'm not saying I think it is pointless, but it begs the question for some people, if I miss one, why should I keep going? Because now I've already missed the chance to reach the greater goal.
Right. I think you want to set yourself goals with some flexibility.
Yes.
And I'll give an example that I think, this is one of our resolutions from last year that we did not succeed on, but I think we set it in a really smart way.
Yes.
So last year, we had this goal that we were going to go to the gym 200 times.
Yes.
in the calendar year of 2025. Spoiler alert, we did not do that. I had like major health issues. It kind of fell apart. That's fine, right? Moving target. But we could have set the goal, go to the gym 4 times a week, every week, right? That ends up being 208,
Yes.
right? So we could have said it like that. Go to the gym 4 times a week, every week.
We would have not met it so much faster.
Yes.
And we would have deprived ourselves.
Right. And the thing with the 200 times was that as life kind of ebbs and flows, right? And you have other responsibilities, like sometimes it's a 3 times a week, sometimes it's a 5 times a week. Sometimes I'm like, I'm really in a flow, I'm going to go again. And that progress counts no matter when it happens, right? Because on the flip side, it's like, if you're discounting weeks that I went 4 times a week, there's no bonus points for doing extra, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're not getting extra point for doing 5 times. So I think that this is all to say, like, don't set a goal to go to the gym if that's not what you want to do. But I think this is all to say that it boils down to flexibility for me.
Well, I also think let's use the gym example. Why are we wanting to go to the gym in the first place? What is the intended outcome of that activity? And is going to the gym at all getting us closer to that outcome? I think it almost is like the outcome is the thing that we're trying to work toward, and resolutions can often feel defeatist if you fall short a little bit, but you're still closer to that desired outcome than you would have been if you wouldn't have done anything.
I agree. I do agree with that. That said, I think that sometimes this idea of so I think it depends what the specific outcome is, because I know I just went on this whole thing about like SMART goals, but I also think that when you set a super measurable and specifically quantifiable goal, it has that same sense of like, if I fell a little bit short, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to think now my mind is like so on diet culture, but
I don't know necessarily that those are like opposing ideas either. Like, yes, you fell a little bit short, so you didn't reach it. But the point I'm trying to make is that you're still making progress toward the thing that you wanted. You might not have gotten it, but did you get closer than you would have been otherwise?
That's so true. And I think it's worth, again, like celebrating the wins, you know?
You need those little wins along the way to keep you going.
You do. Being an adult is hard. Like being a grown person who feeds yourself every day is not like a bitch to everyone and accomplishes your job. Like that's hard. Okay. But I'm being silly, but I'm being serious, because you do need those little wins. And I think they make a huge difference in day-to-day life.
How do you actually stick to the goals that you try to make, if for New Year's resolutions or just goals in general?
I think one way that I like to stick to my goals is to have like check-ins, kind of check back on them from time to time. And again, like we didn't do a great job of this in 2025. I would like to do a better job of this in 2026. But when we made our resolutions last year, we had this idea we were going to kind of do like a quarterly check-in to see how they were going. And I think that's important, to check in with your progress over time. I also think like don't be afraid to adjust. If you check in with your progress and you're like, oh, I'm way ahead, then make your goal bigger, right? Or if you check in with your progress and you're way behind, right? You've only made some progress, reevaluate.
Well, the reevaluate piece I think is really important. If you go 3 months and you've completely missed all of the activities that were supposed to be achieved, then maybe we need to just do like a hard reset on the annual goal and say, that's not achievable. How do I make this more realistic for myself?
Right.
I don't need to give up the whole year.
No.
I can just retool what I originally said was important to me and then hit the ground running again.
Yeah.
It has to do with this idea of incremental positive improvement over time.
Something we've talked about also, Drew, that I wanted to know your perspective on is kind of the extreme nature of goals and New Year's resolutions in particular.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about that?
I really don't like this idea that it has to be transformational. I think that is part of what sets people up for failure, is that you need to try and boil the ocean. And I like the idea that it's the season of change and renewal, or baptism. I forget what terminology you would use previously. But I think, again, I sound like a broken record here. Making any movement toward bettering yourself is the ultimate goal, for whatever that means for you. So if it means going to the gym more, if it means, eating foods that make you feel great, if it means flexing your creative muscles, if it means reading books to further your intellectual wellness. Notice I'm kind of going around the wheel of intellectual wellness, right? Like, or of the dimensions of wellness.
Yeah.
Whatever you identify as important to you, that's the thing that's going to ultimately help you to feel better, right? Because you've identified personally that you think this is the thing that is gonna do it for you. So obviously try and move in that direction.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the podcast before, trying to sustain significant momentum in all of the dimensions of wellness at once. We have found from at least our own experimentation that it's not sustainable.
It's tough. Yeah. I think it's kind of, I like the phrasing of ebb and flow, right? It's rise and fall. It's, you know, they move at different paces, but you have to keep something going in each one.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of a good place maybe to share some of our resolutions from this year so that we can, I don't know, maybe give you all some insight into how we're thinking about goals this year.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll start because I'm holding our little New Year's resolutions book. I bought this for us last year. It was the first Christmas or first New Year's that we were married last year. And I kind of had this idea, I probably saw it on Instagram, let's be honest, that, you know, we could keep a journal and each year we would keep our resolutions and we would put notes from our quarterly check-ins. And I don't know, in 50 years when we're like old and wrinkly, we'll look back and be like, what were we so worried about in 2025 or 2026? Yeah. I think that's kind of cool.
I also think it'll be interesting to look back and see like which of these do we think with age and wisdom were worth making, and which ones do we think honestly that was kind of frivolous and we shouldn't have been wasting our time worrying about that.
I'm also very curious about that. We'll check back with you guys in 50 years. Keep on listening. Well, so something, I don't know, Drew, if you want to kind of share about how, like, the structure of our goals, because we kind of do.
We do individual goals, and then we also do couple-based or together goals.
Like family goals.
Family goals, yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is cool because we have stuff we individually want to focus on, but there are things, I think that's part of like marriage, that we work as a team and there are things that we work toward together.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So I'll share a couple of my individual ones. Then I don't know if you want to share some of yours and then we can share some together.
Go for it.
Okay. So for some of my individual resolutions or goals this year, I'm saving money for my emergency fund in my high yield savings account. I have a specific amount that I want to save. So this is something, again, that I can like work toward throughout the year. I'm not going to fail at this immediately if I don't, you know, get that monthly amount each month, right? I can kind of, flexibility can make it up.
Sure.
I'm also working on raising my credit score, reading 60 books. This is the same as last year. I also am reading 60 books again. I am hoping to complete a full draft of my next novel. And I set a earning goal for my business.
That's great.
Yeah. What about you? Here, I'll pass you the book.
All right. So for mine, I had read 14 books.
I love that for you.
And I also had focus on like investing as a like financial wellness strategy.
I love that. Those are great ones. Do you want to share some of our together ones as well?
I can, yeah. So one that I'm really excited about, we said entertain at least 6 times at our house with our friends and family.
I'm so excited for that goal. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yes. We also had run a 10K, and we had attending all doctor's appointments.
We need to step it up. Last year we did not meet that goal.
One of my favorites is be patient but firm with Poppy and help her grow into her best self.
The way I wrote that is so psychotic, but I do mean it. I want her to be brave and courageous and smart, and she's so loved.
And then one of the last ones was going out on date night at least 1 time per month.
Yeah. And I think we had a travel one too.
Oh, we did. Go on 1 international and 1 domestic trip.
Yeah. So I think that what you'll notice, what I notice, even just kind of reading these back, and I don't know that we were super, thinking about this kind of flexibility in goal setting when we wrote these, but maybe we were doing it more subconsciously because I do think these are all really flexible goals, right? Okay, yes, like if we get to December 2026 and we have not gone on any trips, then that is going to be hard to do. But generally speaking, like these are things that we can succeed in throughout the year. Yes. We have time to work on them. And it's not the kind of thing that with one little blip, the whole thing is going down the drain.
Yeah, and we also have given ourselves some time. Like going on 2 trips this year is going to take some planning. It's going to take
Yeah.
some scheduling. It's
Hmm.
going to take like some financial, like, figuring out.
Yeah.
So with all of that in mind, we have the time to be able to do that planning and set ourselves up for success. We're
Yes.
not going to try and do both of those trips in January 15th and
Right.
just knock them both out so we can cross it off the list.
Right. I think that, and I hope that we are going to kind of check back in on these throughout the year, evaluate our progress, see if they still make sense for us, and just kind of continue to, I guess, negotiate those goals.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that it is about time for the rapid fire segment.
Let's do it.
Okay. So there's 2 questions this week. We are both going to ask each other both questions, and I will ask you first.
Okay.
If you had to make a resolution for me, what resolution would you make?
I would have you resolve to be kinder to yourself.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, I feel like sometimes you can be very critical, and I think that you don't give yourself enough credit for being the beautiful, smart person that you are.
Oh, Drew, that's so sweet. I was like going to roast the shit out of you with that question. So now I
Please do. No, I want to hear what your original answer is.
No. Okay, second question. That was really nice. What is the worst New Year's resolution you've ever made?
Meditating every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? I could never.
I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but this resolution lasted for maybe 3 months.
That's actually pretty good.
And I was pretty miserable by the end of it, which is not the intention behind meditating. I developed some like really unhealthy behaviors of like meditating at like 2:00 in the morning to try and like check the box off. And then I was like, well, it's after midnight, but I'm still awake. Does this count as yesterday? Like there was some logical problems with it, but just completely not the right goal or the way that I should have set that.
Especially, I think, the way to set it.
Yes.
Right? Because I think if you wanted to say, I want to work on my mental health, I would like to meditate more this year. Or I want to, learn more about meditating, do meditative things, whatever. But the whole everyday thing, I think, is where it gets tough.
Well, and I think there's like a comparative element that might have made it more healthy. If looking back on this, if I were to set it again, like I want to start meditating this year, or if I had already meditated, maybe say I would like to meditate a little bit more frequently, or put more energy into meditating than I did last year. Because if I had gone about it that way, any meditation that I would have done was more than I had previously done at that point. So I would have gotten the win, and I also probably would have been happier and healthier because of it.
Yeah, and have the intended effect of meditation.
And not surprisingly, after I did that and failed, I didn't meditate for like 4 years because I was so burned out. Yes, and traumatized from meditation. So anyway, all right, rapid fire back to you.
Okay.
If you had to make a resolution for me, what resolution would you make? I want to hear the roasting version and the nice version.
Well, the roasting version was going to be take fewer naps. But no, just kidding. You can take as many naps as you want. But here's my actual answer. My resolution for you would be to take care of yourself in the sense of I would like to resolve for you to eat lunch every day and breakfast, to like have your meals every day, because I feel like I've never personally forgotten a meal in my life, but you sometimes will get so like busy or distracted or stressed that you'll forget to eat breakfast or lunch. And I just want you to take care of yourself and live like a long and fulfilled and nutritious life.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you looking out for me. Next question, rapid fire. What is the worst New Year's resolution that you have ever made?
I've made so many resolutions that are like lose 10 pounds, lose 30 pounds, lose blah, blah, blah. Those are always the worst.
What are we going to gain? I don't want to hear about what we're going to lose.
Exactly. So those resolutions are no more in this house. Never again.
No, gladly.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to transition into the weekly recap, which I feel like we're a little bit in limbo because we took a week off and it was also the holiday break between Christmas and New Year's, but we're a week behind. So we're going to try our best.
Yeah. So we're going to run through all 8 dimensions. The first dimension, as always, is the physical dimension.
Yep.
What did we do this week?
Well, I really didn't do anything. We had grand plans to continue our training for our 10K. Unfortunately, because we've been doing this goal together,
I was sick.
We're sick. And as a result, I also didn't run, which I probably could have run independently. But
not running in solidarity.
Yeah, looking back on this, it's making me reflect on this shared goal a little bit. And I think that like the idea that we continue training together is really important to me. But I'm also wondering, like, maybe not progressing to the next step, but
Yeah,
continuing
just
to
continuing.
maintain
Mhm.
might be a way to like hold myself, like continue my own momentum
Yeah.
if there's a blip like this where you're sick for a week and a half and we can't exercise.
No, totally. I think that makes a lot of sense. My physical thing was just resting because I was sick. So I think,
Yeah. Which you needed to do.
yeah, and I think that was good, like making that choice for my overall health in the long run.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. What about the emotional dimension?
I took a really nice bath and just
Samesies.
relaxed. It was nice.
We both took baths, not together. Guys, get your mind out of the gutter.
No, I put on some Miles Davis and just kind of like I did. I lit some
Iconic.
candles. It was very nice, relaxing.
That sounds really nice. I lit some candles too, bath salts. I had Olivia Dean. So
Yeah, that's great.
good bath music.
Yes. What about the social?
This was such a social week, which is crazy because I was so sick, but like I wasn't that sick. I had a cold. I was kind of being baby about it, but I did a bunch of social things. So I talked on the phone with my friend Caroline. I also had lunch with my friend Mary. We celebrated Christmas and did a bunch of kind of, especially on Christmas Eve with your family, Drew, like celebrations with family.
Yep.
And then we also got dinner with our friends Joe and Katie, who are like from out of town. Well, not from out of town, whatever, who were visiting from out of town. So it was really nice to see some people that like we might not have otherwise gotten to see over the holidays.
Absolutely. Most of those I shared with you.
Yeah.
In addition to the all of the ones that you had listed, I also got the chance to have coffee with my friend from high school, Kim.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to catch up with her.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad you got to do that.
Yeah. What about intellectual?
For my intellectual dimension, I read another book.
Surprising no one.
No, this book is awesome. I feel like every week I'm like, this book is amazing. You need to read it. But this book was awesome. It is called Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I really like her. Her books were kind of my introduction into like the romance genre. And okay, I could do a whole podcast episode on this specific topic, which is that I think romance gets such a bad rep, right? Like you are kind of envisioning these like bodice ripper, like ridiculous, like guy holding a sword over his you know what, like just you know. But I think that romance and quote unquote like women's lit in the modern day is so much more than that, and that is what I really like about Jasmine Guillory and her work, is that she has such an authentic portrayal of the like minutia of everyday life, but also these like spicy, sexy romances. And this one is queer, which is an added bonus. So 10 out of 10, you must read it. You actually must read everything by her. Go buy some books, guys.
I love your book reviews. You do a great job selling other people's work.
Thank you. Hopefully one day I'll do a great job selling my own work. Okay, what was your intellectual?
So I'm almost done listening to this audiobook, but I continued listening to Into Thin Air, which is the audiobook that I had been working on in our last episode.
Yeah, which is the Everest book.
It is the Everest book,
okay.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear your review when you're done with it.
I'm very close to being done.
Do you want to do your review now?
No, I'll wait until I have 25 minutes left to listen to, so I'll wait.
You're so close.
Yes.
What about the creative dimension?
All right, so I had two. I continued working on my needlepoint, which is not done. I had previously shown it, so I'm not going to show it again. But I was
still so cool.
I'll show you when I'm fully finished. But I'm working on a lighthouse. And then the other thing, Quinn won Christmas this year by getting me.
I always do.
This book I have been talking about for 2 years. It's called Dessert Person by Claire Saffitz.
It's a cookbook.
It is a cookbook, and primarily desserts and baking, but there are a few savory things in there as well. I have been reading it, and I also have started cooking some things in it. I've made 2 things so far, and I'm just like super ecstatic. The 2-week period between Christmas and New Year's has been a great opportunity for me to revisit my love of cooking and just kind of like get my feet wet in it a little bit.
Drew is a great chef, a great cook, and a great baker. Like, thank goodness someone in this house needs to be.
Oh, please. You're also a great baker.
I'm a great baker. I'm not a very good cook.
You try.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. I also did some cooking stuff for my creative dimension. For Christmas Eve at Drew's parents' house, I made tiramisu, bread pudding, and also a Christmas cheese log.
You honestly slayed this.
I have to say, like, I am a dessert person.
Yes, you are.
And my desserts were delicious. They turned out really good.
I think what you lack in entree preparation, you more than make up for in charcuterie and dessert preparation.
Yes. So if you come over to our house and you eat here, you can trust that I'm on apps and dessert and Drew's on entrees.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
What about the financial dimension?
Oh, okay. This is a really good one. I freaking finally funded my high yield savings account. And I know this feels like it's been weeks in the making, and that's because it has. It was like,
do we want to shout out the person who helped you at Middlesex Savings Bank?
oh my gosh, I forget her name.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it was Christine.
Okay.
Yeah. Christine at Middlesex Savings Bank.
She really came in clutch.
She came in clutch. I spent like an hour on the phone with her. And yeah, thank you, Christine. If you are somehow listening to this podcast, you're awesome. Your daughter's wedding sounded amazing. And I so appreciate you helping me with my name change and setting up external transfers so that I could fund my high yield savings account.
I'm very proud of you for this.
That was a lot of adulting.
It was.
For me.
It
I had
really
to make
was.
a few phone calls, but I made it happen, put my first deposit in, and I am earning interest.
Nice.
What about you?
This was one where I did not do anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Kind of like vacation week.
Yeah. And similarly for my occupational this week, I had taken off from work. So I had a very busy week like leading up to the holidays, kind of worked a half week up to Christmas, and then had taken off through the second, which was really nice.
I low-key think that taking off from work like is kind of investing in your occupational dimension, because first of all, like work-life balance.
Yep.
Second of all, like you get PTO. You are paid with the idea that you're going to take all your PTO. You might as well use it.
Yeah. And I also think now that so at the time we're recording this, it's Saturday, but yesterday was my first day back.
Yeah.
I had like come back with kind of like a renewed energy and curiosity for what I was working on. Not that I wasn't enjoying it before, but sometimes you need a little bit of a break to come back with a fresh perspective on things.
I totally agree. Like a palate cleanser.
Yeah. And then our last dimension is environmental.
Oh, yeah, but I actually did an
occupational
one too.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. My occupational one was that I booked my travel, so like my flights and hotel for the TBR conference that I'm going to in January.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so it's only in like a couple weeks at this point. So I'm really looking forward to it. But all that stuff is locked in, so I will like officially be going there.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, environmental.
It depends on the time range that we're talking about. I don't think I really did anything for environmental. The following week, we can talk about Christmas cleanup and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's for next week.
Yeah. So nothing for me this week.
For environmental, I did a fridge and pantry clean out.
You did.
Which was like low-key really necessary. I kind of ran out of steam before I got to the freezer. So maybe that'll be for another day. But fresh, clean fridge, organized pantry. We have a really small pantry, so it's like necessary. And that little organization just made my life better.
It made my life better too.
I'm so glad you benefited from that.
All right. So to sum things up, how did you feel about this week?
I thought this week went really well. I felt like I was able to invest in all the dimensions, and also it was peaceful because we weren't working.
Yeah.
So it felt like a really great opportunity to like fill the cup a little extra in some of the, non-occupational space.
I second that.
Yeah.
I think that it was a very restorative week, a week to focus on like just taking a slower pace.
Yeah. And I loved it. I'm so glad you took off work. I'm so glad I took off work. And I really enjoyed the holidays.
Me too.
And we hope you all did too.
Yes. So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. As always, please feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share wherever you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube or wherever. We really appreciate it.
We can't wait to see you back next week. Bye.